the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated and welcome.
Councilmember Daniele?
Present.
Councilmember Dispan?
Present.
Supervisor Albrecht?
Here.
Councilmember Foreman?
Here.
Councilmember Rye?
Here. I really don't want to adopt the agenda. I just want to say if I can do the following. We got 4 new hirees, up to 4 new hirees. I don't know if they're all here. I'd like to hear from them before we go to the acceptance, after the acceptance of minutes before the public hearing. And I got a Boy Scout that earned his Eagle Scout Award. I'd like to present him before the public hearing. You guys are okay with that?
Sure.
Okay. Next up, so I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda as written. Present that as a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
Daniele, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Acceptance of minutes. Present that as a motion. Can I get a second?
There's no minutes.
There's no minutes to accept, and that's then?
No, I got
Okay.
one done,
You got
and
one
they're on
done?
for the next, they're done, but they're on for the next meeting because I missed the deadline.
Okay.
But I have a set done, and I should have another set done to get us caught up, me caught up.
Very good.
Tax season.
So the Town of Fishkill has hired several people. Who's here that was hired by the Town of Fishkill? Please raise your hand. That's on the agenda. Just you? Then come up and say hello to the residents of Fishkill.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Cooper Leatherwood, and I am a deputy town clerk for Fishkill, and I'm currently working for Wappinger. So I've had 4.5 years experience, and I'm hoping to now bring that experience and knowledge and technology to the town of Fishkill here. Help everyone. All right?
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
No, I'm good.
Okay. You can go home.
If you want to go home, you can go home. If you want to stay, you can stay. I'll stay.
Okay.
Stay for the vote.
Yeah, station, well,
Yeah,
it's
stay for
toward
a
the
vote.
end. All right, next up I got is a proclamation recognizing the Eagle Scout. See, get my eyes going here. Brian Rayner. Whereas Brian Rayner is a Fishkill resident and a Boy Scout with the Boy Scouts of America Troop 41, whereas the rank of Eagle Scout is the highest rank within the Boy Scouts of America, and whereas in order to achieve the rank of Eagle Scout, the candidate must demonstrate leadership and initiative by designing and completing a service project in the community, and whereas to achieve the rank of Eagle Scout, Brian Rayner did design and complete a project at the Madam Brett Homestead Museum in Beacon, and whereas this project involved installing and revitalizing an herb garden which had previously been located at the property, and installing a mailbox containing information on the plants in the garden, and whereas the Boy Scouts of America Board of Review determined that the project meets all the requirements and found Brian Rayner deserving of the rank of Eagle Scout with an Eagle Court of Honor to be held in recognition of his achievements, and whereas the Town of Fishkill supports the youth of the Boy Scouts of America, and whereas the Town Board of the Town of Fishkill wishes to recognize Fishkill Boy Scouts who achieve the rank of Eagle Scout and demonstrate leadership and dedication to the community, set an example for the community and for the future Boy Scouts who will be inspired by their accomplishments, and whereas Brian Rayner deserves recognition of a young person who possesses leadership skills, engagement in the community, and determination to make a positive difference. Now, therefore, be resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Fishkill does hereby proclaim in recognition of Fishkill resident and Boy Scout Brian Rayner and extend his congratulations on achieving the rank of Eagle Scout. And be it further resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Fishkill shall present a copy of the proclamation to Boy Scout Brian Rayner at the May 4th, 2022 Town Board meeting, or as soon after possible in the spirit of congratulations and recognition by order of the Town Board of the Town of Fishkill on this 4th day of May, 2022. Congratulations, Brian. So I want to get a picture of him and his family, and then with the Town Board.
Mm-hmm.
And your parents, come on. Would you like me to get ready, parents? Everybody, sir? Sir?
Troop 41. Great picture. Hey, we gotta come in there.
Let's go.
The charger.
Guys in the back.
I can. All set. Thank you.
Thanks.
Next up is a public hearing, local law 2022, code interpretation, public hearing ID 7728. The purpose of this law is to promote public health, welfare, and safety by amending the Town Code Chapter 50, Buildings and Construction, to add a new Town Code Section 5027, code interpretation, to set forth the practice and procedure to be followed by the town building inspector in rendering code interpretations. We discussed this quite a bit. There's when a building inspector makes a determination, there's a 60-day appeal process, and we want to make that 60-day appeal process notice to the people that that are within 500 feet of a project, and that it's appealable to the town zoning board of appeals. So I'd like to make a motion to open up the public hearing for that. Can I have a second?
Second.
Carmine, all in favor?
Aye.
So the purpose of the public hearing is to let the public speak about this matter, and if anybody wants to speak, please come up. Yep.
Good evening, Supervisor Albra and members of the town board. Welcome to the new members. I haven't met any of you yet, and the old ones too. I'm here because it's sort of a continuation of last March, April, May, June, and July, when I came and had concerns about chapters 132 and chapters 150 and the amendments on them. And on chapter 150 especially, last July at Shepherd's Park, Memorial Park, it took me a long time because this really isn't my field, but I do live here and I have a home, and so I get connected in that way. Took me a long time to get to the point, but I had a big concern because with regard to special use permits, that it was saying that mobile home parks, gasoline filling stations, animal hospitals and kennels, commercial writing establishments, dental clinics, funeral homes, and adult entertainment establishments would need special use permits. And I was like, fine with that, and they each had specific bars that they had to meet. And but I thought that that was not a very exhaustive list, and I have kind of a situation next to me which makes me tuned into this.
Okay, this is about section 50.
150.
No, this one's 50 only, there's no one.
No, but I'm getting to it.
Yeah, but this is a public hearing for just 50, so if you have
I
comments.
know, but it connects to it.
Okay, go on.
So at the end of last July, when I was at the microphone at the park, I said that I thought that that left a loophole for other projects, establishments that might be put in residential or commercial, but I'm concerned about my residential place on earth. And I was told, I asked if it wasn't one of these specific ones that I just read, does it get denied? Does it get thrown out? What happens? And I just replayed the tape at home, and I was told, because I wanted to know, what if the specific use permit is not on that list and not substantially similar to other uses listed in the district? And I was asked if is it shot down or not. And I was told then, and this is the part that got me, I was told it may not fit at all with the uses that the town wants and get kicked out, or it may not be applicable and can't do it, but we may be able to make it happen. And I have something I'm hearing from two very reliable sources next to me, and I'm watching what's going on next to me. I can't even say, scores of trees have been cut down. I see them, well, I just want to know. It seems to me that this, that you have before you tonight, leaves the building inspector, it's like free rein to do anything you want. So that whole thing last year with Chapter 150 being amended was really a joke. It just made it, yeah, these are the things that, you know, these are the projects that are okay to do, and also like whatever else we decide. And that's my concern. That's why I'm here tonight. That's how it seems to me.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
right, thank you.
Anybody else? Any board member comments? Louise?
No, I'm just glad we're doing it to give people the opportunity to actually know about things that they didn't in the past. So more transparency is always a good thing.
Carmen?
Yeah, like Louise said, transparency is important. We learn every day, every week, every month. We're listening to the residents, and I think this is a nice value add to our town.
John?
Just that, you know, we had a major project in Fishkill, the Healy project. We heard some of the residents, and the town board took that into consideration, and we are now adopting this this modification into our law to notify the people within 500 feet of a certain project or a certain decision made by the building inspector, and that's it. But you know what? It's something more than we were doing before, so.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Brian?
Good job, Jody Berger. Not only
Yes.
was it citizen involvement in making this change, but also you've taken it to the next step and have gotten involved with the town, and my hat's off to you.
Yeah. Yeah, this continues the course of the town of Fishkill being very pro-open government. And we did this because no one knew that it was a 60-day period where you could appeal and who you could appeal it to. So now you do. Now you do know. So, and this helps us too, because if someone comes in and complains, we're going to tell them, did you get the letter? Did you do anything? And it's easier for us to handle it. And these things do come up. Last year, we had a situation where the town board made a decision years ago, and only the planning and zoning board were given notice of the 500 rules to the residents. And we added to when the town board makes a land use decision that we also notify those people within 500 feet. So this is a good law. It promotes open government, and it'll stop, you know, people being upset when something happens, they don't like to hear it. So I commend all the board members for doing this. I commend Ms. Berker for bringing this to our attention. And does anybody else have any questions on this? Make a motion to close the public hearing. Can I have a second?
Second.
Brian, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next up is privilege of the floor for general town items. So anybody who wishes to speak about any general town items may speak.
Hi, Nanette Hudgens O'Malley, 142 Old Route 9. And I'd like to discuss the change in the meeting times from 6 to 7 p.m.
7 to
Am I-
6.
7 to 6.
From 7 to 6 p.m. In my opinion, they're not taking the residents, especially those who commute, in consideration. It's not giving them enough time to get home and make it to the 6 p.m. meeting, especially for a public hearing or privilege of the floor, which is, in my opinion, what most people want to make it for. And then another thing is, before 6 p.m., the traffic is even worse than it is after, like, you know, before 7. So you're not giving people enough time to even get here, in my opinion. Okay, thank you.
No, thank you. Anybody else? All right, next up is my supervisor comments. If you guys don't know, the town of Fishkill received a $600,000 grant from Congressman Maloney for body cameras. We should get that money sometime next year, and it's a real good thing. The reason we couldn't get them before is that we couldn't afford them, And this is going to be a nice piece of money for cameras and storage. Storage is the most expensive thing, so we're going to be able to accommodate all the items that we couldn't do before and have them now. That's my only comment. We did a lot of things this weekend with the board members. I'm sure they're going to want to talk about that during their liaison reports. I'll leave that up to them. So now we're up to liaison reports. I'll go first with Brian today. You got some good stuff.
Thank you, Supervisor. Yeah, I mean, it was a fun weekend with the Little League, which I know Carmine's going to talk about the Saturday event. But on Sunday, May 1, the Little League gathered with Rascal from the Renegades and board members at the Fishkill Home Food Pantry. Got a lot of things confused there. So it was a surprise visit that Miss Sydney Park, the current Miss New York, was coming through on a tour of nonprofits and small businesses, and Carmine heard about it and said, can we get her, let's see if we can get her here, and it worked out, and it just was a nice promo. She was a very wonderful lady. This is like the last couple of months of her reign as Miss New York, but the kids loved it. It was a good promo piece and brought a lot of attention to Fishkill Serves, the baseball game that the Renegades have dedicated to us on June 12th, so we can collect food for the pantry, and also a percentage of sales will be going to the food pantry. So we're very, very happy with that. And I want to just say, I don't think she's watching, but Marcella Costello, she works at the Renegades in public relations and community affairs, and she works very, very, very hard with us, and I just want to say thank you very much to her. The Veterans Committee that we talked about creating, we did have a first meeting last night right here, and it was very, very great to just see it kick off. And we had some good participation. Virgil Capillari, of course, has volunteered to take leadership at this particular point to help coordinate. There are quite a number of things that were discussed, and dealing with future discussions of what dates and what events we should as a town celebrate, in addition to coordinating and being coordinated, so we can, the vets can give comment at Castle Point when they have a committee come around from Washington, D.C. To gather comments from local groups on whether or not Castle Point should stay open. And of course, everybody knows the sentiment here. The drug presentation, which is going to be at the next meeting, has evolved rather nicely. It's just to give a slight overview, and the reason that I wanted to do this, and I am, the supervisors saw it and got it on why we should do this, and all town board members, of course, are supportive, and John Foreman has helped me coordinate with people at the county level, but there's a crisis out there that we can't forget about. There's so much, so many families being destroyed, and I know everybody knows this, but here on the local level, we'll have Detective Joseph Chorba talking about issues here in the town. Deborah Cortez, who I took Narcan training with, and she's an EMT, and she has quite a bit of information to impart. We're going to have Detective Sergeant Adam Harris of the Dutchess County Sheriff's Office. There are quite a number of things that he'll be presenting. And then last but certainly not least will be Jean Marie Nyber, Deputy Commissioner of Director of Community Services, and talking about the services that are available for people who want to get out from under that heavy yoke of drug addiction. And this is just about information sharing. It's not about condemning anyone. It is about how we as a town can bring, shed a little light on it. We need to be vigilant here, but also helping people who are suffering to get out and notify everyone of the services that are available. Trying not to take up too terribly much more time, but I think that's about it.
Yeah, no, well done.
Thank you.
I stopped in for the veterans meeting. It was a good kickoff. And I can't wait to hear about the drug presentation, because I quite frankly, I'm a retired cop and in law enforcement, and we spend too much money locking people up, and it's cheaper to treat them or educate them before we send them to jail. So I commend you for doing that.
Great.
Councilman?
One tiny thing, the next vet meeting is going to be announced at a gentleman's house. We have to confirm that, and it'll be hot dog and hamburgers on the back deck, so it'll be more cordial and less formal being here. So it'll be really a nice atmosphere, and we're really, really looking forward to a lot more people coming.
John?
Okay, so one side note on the drug presentation. So our meeting on May 18th, I am anticipating if we change our times, our meeting is going to be at 6 o'clock. That drug presentation will be part of our meeting, but is still scheduled for 7 o'clock. So our meeting starts at 6, assuming we change our times, and that drug presentation is going to happen at 7 o'clock or shortly thereafter our meeting.
I think the lady makes a point about the public hearing portion. Is there anything that precludes us to do like discussion and then go into a public hearing?
Absolutely not.
So we can change the, so we can come in,
As long as we say the time, like that the meeting starts, and it says at 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock, or as soon as possible thereafter.
well, what I'd like to do is take the,
Those.
so we can move the public hearing, instead of having it at 6, we could have it at 7, put it after discussion? We can make that happen?
We could do that.
You guys okay with us doing that? Because
Right?
that is a valid
There's
concern.
no reason we can't.
Supervisor.
Yeah.
Round on the agenda.
Can we just make sure that when people come, if they do come late, that they can speak? Because that was my concern also, that if people work and they can't get here, our big thing was that we moved it to the beginning of the meeting so they could speak. So if we can, I don't know if we have to do it individually each meeting or set some kind of.
No, we do have 2 open periods. We can just make the other section.
Leave the public hearing open to the end of the meeting.
No, not public hearing, I'm talking
Public
about,
hearing, have it, like how we have the
privilege of the
agenda
floor.
now.
I'm talking about privilege of the
No,
floor.
no, just have the public hearing, or we'll move it after discussions when it's about 7 o'clock. And just, when they get here, they'll be.
Down on the agenda.
Supervisor, I'm just talking
That's
about privilege of the floor for people to speak.
Yeah, so what we could do also is, instead of having privilege of the floor for general town items in the beginning, we can change the privilege of the floor for any town, for just agenda items, and just make them both privilege of the floor for general town items twice.
Well, I just didn't want people.
Well, what I'm saying is, they can speak even more.
No, I know, but I'm just saying timing-wise, I didn't want them to have to come and then wait till the very end. So I'm just concerned about
I don't
timing.
anticipate that being a problem. I've never stopped anybody from speaking since I've been here. You know that.
No, I know, that's why I want to make sure that we continue it, that's all.
Yeah.
So if somebody
Everybody-
comes and they want to speak, that we give them the opportunity if it's
Of course we would.
6:30 or whatever it is.
Of course we would.
Yeah.
Liaison, Carmine, you're up next.
John, you good? You done, John?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
Thank you.
So I apologize for missing opening day of Little League. They had canceled it, postponed it for a week, and I was out of town, so I'm glad they had a great day. Ozzy and I and Joel Petrus had a meeting over the last week or so, and it was a discussion in preparation for our discussion tonight regarding our fee and escrow policy. I also attended the event promoting the Fishkill Food Pantry, and you may or may not have seen my picture with Miss New York on Facebook. I am now done.
Yes, I saw the picture.
I saw the picture with the baby, too. Councilman Esteban, your show.
Good evening. We had a great day at the Little League opener. We had a chance to throw out the first pitch. You know, it was a little rusty, but, I had to show the supervisor how to throw a ball. So we had a good time. No, he did really good. So it was a great event. It was a very good kickoff. The Renegades, Zolder from Renegades was a commentator, did an awesome job. Peter, the president of Little League, it was a great event. I was proud to be part of it, and it was an overall great day. We met some parents, and on the note of the Little League, we're actually going to extend the field of the fence. You can see the RFP we have tonight that we're going to discuss, and also we're going to do some drainage on Field C and Field A. We're going to also add T-ball for the young kids, and some benches and improvement of the field. I just wanted to tell the grounds crew they did an awesome job. The first cut, well, probably a second or third cut, but the fields looked awesome. They dragged them very well. Lines was very nice. I just wanted to give a shout out to them.
Very good. Councilwoman Daniele?
So I was under the weather since the last meeting, so I don't really have any reports other than I also joined in the opening day, Little League, and it was a really nice event. And thank you to Peter Lyons, who always does a great job setting it up, and all the parents.
That's it?
Yep.
All right. Next up is next up is a presentation from Customer Portal for Water Customers. Councilwoman Daniele, can you introduce your team?
I'm going to let them come up and introduce themselves because they don't have each other, but just a brief description. So the prior board bought really expensive, fancy water meters, and part of that program was supposed to be something that the citizens could access a portal themselves to see how much water they're using, if there's any alarms, and a bunch of other features that they're going to talk about, but it never happened. And we've had issues because of that, so I've asked them to come explain it and then have the board discuss whether we think it's something we can do or not. So if you want to introduce yourselves and then...
Hi, good evening. My name is Michael Johnson. I'm with Core and Maine. We're the distributor for census meters and the reading system.
Good evening. My name is Tom. I am the census representative for New York State.
Thanks again for having us here tonight. It looks like we got kicked out of this program, so I'm going to have to log back in. All right, sorry about that. So back in 2017, we kicked off a metering project with the Town of Fishkill. And as Louise said, that we intended on doing a customer portal, but it kind of got cut out of the funding. As a part of that program, it allows the town residents to have access to all the data that the town essentially receives. So they can look up their individual account and they can monitor for themselves their water consumption. So if a resident chooses to set up this portal, they can go in, and as you can tell, it first welcomes them and tells you whose account you're in. And you have the ability to actually choose between different languages. So as of right now, we have English and Spanish. And then what it does is it just simply translates it for you. So because my Spanish is not very good, I'm going to go ahead and switch that back to English. But it's pretty intuitive, this program. Right up top, it tells you the account information, the address that you're looking at. If you are not aware of your customer number or your account number, it would be listed out over here. And if you had multiple properties, you can switch between those meters and you can view consumption for each one of those properties. You can also change the name of this. Instead of the meter ID number, you can give it a nickname. So if you have income property at different locations, you can go ahead and you can name it, First Ave or apartment number 2 or 3 or whatever it might be, right? On the left-hand side, we have a couple of tabs for the user to navigate through this program. And then, as you can see, it's pretty basic in terms of how it's laid out and pretty intuitive. So you have a couple of panels here, or several panels. The first in which it simply gives you your current consumption for that billing cycle. And then you can compare that to your previous billing cycle and see if you're on track or if you're trending on kind of the high side. You can also look back and compare it to what you used previously, the last year during that same billing cycle. And if you're not sure what those cycles are, what that time frame is, on the second panel, it shows you what that cycle is. So those dates and what you used for that period of time. So here you can see that the current billing cycle for this individual is from April 1st, and it is showing consumption up until this date. And so far, they've used a little, almost 1,500 gallons. Below that, the previous billing cycle was November 30th to March 31st, and during that time frame, they nearly used 5,000 gallons. And then 1 year ago, during the same billing cycle is what it is now, right? They used 4,600? So you can kind of have an idea of where you're at in that current cycle. And the whole idea here is to give residents the ability to track their consumption and give them that power to make educated decisions and maybe tone it down a little bit to try to save money and conserve water, conserve resources. If they had an alert on their account, such as continuous consumption, maybe they have a leaking toilet, it would give a notification right here on panel number 3. So if anything happens at that location, it can also send them text message alerts, emails, anything like that if they choose to set that up. To the far right here, we have notifications which would come from the town. So if you wanted to communicate to your town residents that have this portal, so say you had a water main break in a certain district, or if you have a boil water advisory, you could post a notification here and they can also receive a text message or an email alert during that time. Say you were closed for Mickey Mouse's birthday, you could go ahead and post that there too, right? And then down below, you have a nice visual of a gauge just showing you kind of where you are on your thresholds, right? If you're approaching the high end of your usage for that cycle, it would be in the red zone. If you're halfway through your cycle and you're in the green, you're probably in pretty good shape, right?
Do you have to log online for the notifications, or do they come as text as well?
So you have to set those up originally for notifications, but I believe those come through as text if you choose that option.
For instance, if, we have, like, we're flushing the pipes,
Yep.
and we just want to make sure everybody heard. So they can get that notification here as well as through our own email purposes and our platform. Okay, that's
Yep.
good. All right.
On the left-hand menu tree here, you have your dashboard, of course, and then you can dig down into your actual usage, your data, and you can view your consumption at that location, right? So if you want to view this in 24-hour increments, you can thumb through here and you can see hour-by-hour usage. You can view in 7-day increments, 30-day, or even the past 12 months. If you receive a bill and you're looking at your bill and you say, why is this so high? I don't understand. I'm using way more than I used last period. You can log on here and you can actually choose specific date ranges to kind of match up that graph to what it is you're looking at on your bill. And then if you scroll down, you actually will see a comparison against rainfall and temperature. So say you see a large spike on a specific day, you can look and you can see that there was minimal rainfall, it was a very hot day, and it might jog your memory that maybe you watered your lawn, maybe you filled your pool, maybe you had the sprinkler going for the kids to stay cool. So it gives you quite a bit of information to kind of help make those decisions. Next, you have meters. So if you have multiple properties, you can see everything kind of in a global view here. So if you have multiple properties, you'll see the account information, that meter number, the address that it's associated with, and then the daily usage or average for that location, and what it is for that billing cycle, and it would just list out all of the additional meters that you might own or properties that you might own, so you can just kind of get a global view. Under settings, you have the ability to set up your own alerts. So as a resident, if you want to set up an alert if you are approaching a certain amount of usage, you can come in here and you can add that as a notification. So if you wanted to do 1.5 times your average bill or something like that, you could put that in there. If you wanted to look at daily usage alerts, so this individual has an alert to be sent when they hit 150 gallons for the day. You also have a vacation alert. So if you're going away, you can come in here and you can set the time frame to which you're going to be away on vacation. And it's smart enough to know not to send you alerts before that date and not to send you alerts after the day that you come back. So it will automatically overwrite and delete that alert once you're back from vacation. And you can set it up for different thresholds. So if you want it to be at zero amount of usage, it will send you an alert if anything is used. So if you use 1 gallon, it will send you a notification, whether it's a text or an email. Or you can say, well, I know someone's going to be checking on the house, so I want to make sure that they have the ability to go in, flush the toilet, do whatever they need to do without bothering me, so I'll set that to 10 gallons of usage, right? And then it's also important to note that you have the ability to set up different recipients of these alerts. So every individual that sets up an account, you can only apply 1 email address to the account, right? However, so say you set up the account and you want your spouse to have access to those alerts. You can come in here and you can add your spouse to the list to receive those text messages or emails. If you have an elderly parent and you help take care of their property and you help maintain their property and you want to know if they have a leak, you can go in, you can add yourself as a recipient so that they don't have to receive text messages or emails. They would be sent to you.
Excellent.
And then lastly, we have the ability to choose between different units of measure. So I know some folks receive their bills in cubic feet. I don't know about you, but I have a hard time understanding what a cubic foot of water looks like. So I prefer to imagine like a jug of milk, right? 1 gallon of water. So they can come in here and they can actually select between different units of measure that make sense to them. Okay. And then they can also change the units for rainfall as well as temperature.
Okay. All right.
So
Can I just,
Let's take questions from the board members. Councilwoman?
I was given 4 references, which I called, so I just want to advise the board of what the people in the other towns said. So I spoke to somebody in the city of Auburn, New York. They've been using it for 2 years. They said a lot of people like it, especially the landlords, snowbirds, and people who are going on vacation. Like they said, you can set it to 0, so you'd know if anything is going through and contact somebody to go and check on your house if anything happens. Let's see, Crookston, Minnesota, they also liked it. They said they have about 10% of the people that have signed up to use it. City of Middletown in New York, they're using it as well. And Fargo, North Dakota. That gentleman was very informative and actually has some type of manual that he can send to me if we actually do it to get the word out. So Carmine and I have been working with people who unfortunately have gotten really high bills because they weren't advised of leak alarms. So for anybody out there, if you don't have your phone number or your email with the water department, please call Mary and give it to her. But this would just be an added feature for people to have control of your own accounts. We have some people that are elderly, so their adult children can now monitor it because they weren't able to know that the toilet was running. And when the toilet runs, it's a lot of money at the end of the quarter. And also water softeners are another issue that we were having. People didn't know that they were continuously running. So, I just want to be able to give the people more options to have control of their own accounts and to really stop wasting water that they don't know is being wasted and, have control, basically.
It will also allow the residents to answer their own questions before calling the office here. So I'm sure your billing clerk receives calls every time she puts out a bill.
Yeah, actually, the guy in North Dakota said that. He said he
Yeah.
thought it was worth it because of that, because it cut down on the person in the office having to do it. Yeah.
Very good, very good. Louise Carmine?
So when Corin Mann came to Councilwoman Daniele and I, and we saw the presentation, right off the bat, we said, can you present this to the residents of Fishkill? We had a little hard time in the office trying to set it up, but it was overall, it was fantastic. I love it, the whole thing, and able to manage and monitor your own system is an awesome idea. It helps us also for the elderly and people that are on vacation or residents that are not home to monitor the system, and also maybe a great opportunity for us to, since we have this, layer of protection for the residents, that we maybe could set up a nice policy to make sure that they have this tool, that they utilize the tool. And if someone is elderly and they have someone in their family that can actually monitor it for them, they can look out for things like this, and they can watch off one another. So I think this is a great program, and I like it.
I think the only thing you were going to look into is, was there a clause for us to get out of the contract or not? That was one thing you were going to look at.
Yeah, so I spoke with Tom about that, and the way they do that is basically your setup fees and your initial integration for the system is pretty much a sunk cost.
Okay.
But as far as the annual fee, that would be prorated, and you'd be credited back
Okay.
for that.
Thank you for coming in. No questions.
No, I think it's probably got a lot of possibilities, so, thanks.
Okay, so you said this was part of the funding, and it was cut out?
So when we originally presented the AMI system to the town, we did touch on this topic, and we talked about how it would be a nice adder. I think originally they wanted to hold off to just see kind of how it all unfolds, because typically you launch this towards the end of the project, right? And make sure that there's data in there, and then you have to get the word. But
It was never funded back then?
it wasn't funded then.
That's all I need to know.
Yeah, I think they just decided to cut it out.
Any other questions?
No, I'm good.
Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you for coming. We appreciate
We'll
it.
let you know.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, Russ, come
You have a
on.
question?
You got a well though, right? Yes. So what do you want to ask a question?
Come up to the mic, Russ. Come up to the mic. Russ. Sorry.
Russ O'Malley. I just want to know, does that program have the ability to monitor the alkalinity of the water hardness? Could that be in the program?
No, unfortunately not.
No, huh? Okay.
Just flow.
Thanks.
Good try. All right, we'll let you know, okay?
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
Thank
We
you for
appreciate
coming.
it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Our next, take care, have a good one. The next presentation is Stray Help, H-E-L-P, Cats. Ladies, present. Oh, my God. This is Carmine's idea.
Hi. We have,
Okay,
Jody's
To the
going to
mic.
be the handler.
Yep, mic.
If she's willing to let them out of her hands, then you can meet the kitties. My name is Ann Lagoy. As you know me, I'm usually here commenting about certain things within the town. I'm here in a capacity as president of Stray Help Incorporated. Stray Help is an acronym for Healthcare and Education to Limit Population. We have several board members here, if you can give a wave, volunteers, to show our support and asking for the request that we're going to ask you about. So I wanted to give you a little bit of information about us. We are a registered not-for-profit 501c3 charitable organization. Formed in 2015, to date, we are entirely funded by private donations and small grants. Our operating budget was $110,000 in 2021, 96% of which was dedicated directly to the care of animals we work with. We have facilitated the spay, neuter, and vaccination of over 4,600 cats. 945 of them were served last year in 2021. We are on course to assist over 1,000 cats to receive spay-neuter this year. Our work is carried out by an amazing group of passionate, dedicated volunteers, and we have no paid staff. Jody is now our volunteer. So our primary program and what we're best known for is Trap, Neuter, Return, or Place, which is better known as TNR, a nationally recognized humane approach to addressing community cat populations. Volunteers work with property and business owners to humanely trap free-roaming cats. The cats are then brought to a spay-neuter provider. They are held for recovery post-surgery, and while in our care, they are assessed for placement appropriateness if they are unclaimed. I have information available also, Carmine, and thank you for stopping at the clinic, but I have a handout if anybody would like some more information on Trap, Neuter, Return, or Place. Our other very large program is our Spay-Neuter Clinic. Each month, Stray Help volunteers organize a mobile, low-cost spay-neuter clinic. Services are provided by the Animal Rights Alliance, Inc., better known as TERRA, on the grounds of Trinity Episcopal Church right here in Fishkill. We are repeatedly hearing from pet parents that services are either financially unreachable or not available at all. We did a little digging and found that residents are consistently being quoted between $300 and $500 for spay or neuter surgery for their cats, not including additional required services such as rabies vaccination, New York State required, and a wellness exam, often required by the vet office. This may add another $100 plus. Both public and rescue organizations utilize our clinic. We serve Fishkill residents as well as residents throughout Dutchess County and beyond. People are traveling from Yonkers, City Island, the Bronx, Connecticut, New Jersey, and we even served 2 cats from Philadelphia at our April clinic. While in town waiting for their pet's procedure to be completed, clients are visiting local businesses for shopping, breakfast and/or lunch, coffee, gas. The local benefit of the clinic goes above spay-neuter access. Our organization has been dramatically impacted in many ways by the COVID pandemic. The cost of goods and services is on the rise, while the need for them simultaneously rises. Another example of how we have been impacted is the number of friendly, unclaimed cats we are finding during the course of our TNR efforts. Nearly all of them are not spayed or neutered. In pre-pandemic times, approximately 10% of the cats we encountered in the community were friendly and went unclaimed. In 2020 and 2021, it grew to 28%. Holding this statistic against the types of calls for assistance that we received, we surmise this increase is a direct result of people's inability to care for their cats, including providing their pets with spay or neuter procedure. This is what brings us here today, and I want to thank you again for the opportunity to share Stray Help's community programs with you, and I invite you to consider implementing the following spay-neuter program. Spay-neuter program details are as follows. Will Spay Pets is also a registered charitable organization based out of Orange County. They partner by matching funds with several municipalities in Orange County to assist residents to get their cats spayed or neutered. Diane Decker, president of Will Spay Pets, has made the offer to contribute $500 to be matched by the town to initiate a spay-neuter program here. How the program will work, Fishkill residents, and I'm scared to say this, Becky, after that long list of duties that you carry out in your office, but bear with me. Fishkill residents can come in to the town clerk and purchase a spay-neuter certificate for $25 with proof of residency. The certificate can be redeemed at the TERRA clinic here in Fishkill for their pet to be spayed or neutered, and this also includes a rabies vaccination. The certificates are collected by TERRA staff, and once a month, the town is billed $50 per cat for services provided. The $25 difference is split between Will Spay Pets and the town, each entity contributing $12.50 per cat for services provided. The $1,000 fund will assist 40 cats to be spayed and neutered. Statistically speaking, those 40 cats, if left unaltered, and under general circumstances, can grow to over 1,300 cats in just 2 years. This has an intense impact on the rescue community, who already struggle under the vast numbers of cats and kittens arriving at their doorstep. Simply put, it is unrealistic and unreasonable to continue to expect shelters and rescues to shoulder this burden alone. We cannot adopt our way out of this crisis, and we currently travel on a road of tremendous suffering. Any action taken to assist spay or neuter will help to provide more stable environments and better health for vulnerable cats. Ultimately, we will save resources otherwise spent trying to stem the tide. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So we, Stray Help, hereby formally request the town match a contribution of $500 allocated for a spay-neuter fund to assist Fishkill residents to spay or neuter their pets at minimum cost. And I'm happy to take any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Ann. Thank you for coming. Mr. Gobb, I have a question for you. Can you just explain what we could do? You said we could sponsor a program potentially because we can't donate.
Well, hold on a second. Ask the board members if we want to do this first, and then ask them if we can do it.
Oh, okay, sorry. I didn't know if we can do it.
It's about to speak.
Oh, sorry about that. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. Hi, Ann, how are you?
Good.
Good. It's been a while. We haven't had a long chat. I know, I was trying to think, I saw you on the agenda. I was trying to think how long we have been neighbors. I can't remember. It's been
Many years.
Quite a number of years.
Mhm.
Through the years, we've had a lot of social engagement. Through the years, we've done some community things together. And I didn't know that you're building such an organization, you know.
It's a pretty darn amazing organization, if I do say so myself.
But
It's not me. It is
Yeah.
these people here. We have an amazing
I
group.
congratulate you all, and I know I've known about you, obviously, working with cats for years, you know. But I didn't realize the extent, and this is pretty impressive, and your work is amazing.
you.
So, how many stray cats do you think there are in Dutchess? Because I know I talked to Joey Cavassini, and you're working with him. The county has got something going on program-wise. What is that about?
Well, we hope so.
You hope?
So if
Okay.
anyone from the county is listening, that is most welcome. So you're actually talking about two different programs.
Yeah, okay.
So what we're hoping to engage with the county is specifically for trap, neuter, return, which would be humanely trapping free-roaming cats. But it all starts from somewhere. So we would like to get to the source, which is generally people's pets. And cats get out, things happen. And, you know, well-intentioned people, maybe somebody lost their job, or, you know, an expense came up, someone got into an accident, who knows? But there's many, many reasons why someone might not get their cat spayed or neutered. So to answer your question on how many cats I believe are in Dutchess County, there was a study done many years ago, and I do not want to use that particular number, as vast as it is. I'd rather use an example, which is the city of Poughkeepsie, minding you, this is the city, not the town or, you know, a less populated area. And I can speak to that from our own experience because we have people who do the trapping. Kim Marrow is our director of our Trap, Neuter, Return program. Taking an algorithm of how many cats we have trapped in specific areas, multiplying that by the square acreage of the city of Poughkeepsie, I am sadly estimating that there are close to 5,000 to 5,500 cats just in the city proper.
So your gut for Fishkill would be, what do you think?
You know,
Town of Fishkill, what do you think?
for TNR, I would have to really add that up. I mean, I know myself, because I have done extensive trapping in the town of Fishkill, there are thousands less than there would be, literally. So
Aren't they having a
I can,
aren't they having a devastation on birds as well, all the feral cats? Is there a lot of, did I read something somewhere where there's a decline in bird population in certain
I'm
areas?
sure the Audubon Society
Yeah.
will argue that point. However, as far as I'm concerned, they should be a larger proponent of trap, neuter, return, because that would mean less cats. So the alternative is not that appealing, which there is trap and kill, which 80% of the American population blanketly rejects that as a possibility. Feral cats are not, and I digress because I'm not here to talk about the TNR. I'm happy to come back and do a different presentation for that program, because let me tell you, I'll be coming at you with that too. But, you know, it really, humans have more of a devastation on birds than cats.
Okay.
Any other questions? Yeah.
And thank you for being here tonight, and thank you for the work that you're doing.
All right, maybe I'll let you adopt one of those kittens.
You have to adopt two. You can't, you can't do one.
That gets an applause in and of itself. Thank you, John.
Question, what does the term microchipping mean?
So I call that a little bit of insurance. And what that is, microchipping is a very small device. It's about the size of a grain of rice, and it is injected in between the shoulder blades of the cat. They're all, okay. I was like, wait a minute, that carrier's open. The handler's fallen asleep at the job here. And what that will do is you can register that microchip. So let's say you bring in your cat and you say, I want to get a microchip, because at this clinic, we actually do have what's called a deluxe package.
Yep.
And that includes the microchip, all the vaccinations, flea treatment, and the spay neuter, of course. That microchip will then be registered under your name. You can put a picture of the cat, you can put your address if you move. If the cat gets out and is found, like we find cats all the time, and it is bliss when that cat is microchipped, because you just simply scan the cat and the information, the code will come up. We then check in with Home Again. Ours is Datamars, PetLink. And then you can find out who the owner is, and that animal can be reunited. And I do have actually, and I will take up another minute to share this story. We had a cat right here in Fishkill that was intruding on a colony, because we manage colonies throughout the county as well, and that means spay and neuter them, feed them, and so forth. We had an intruder at one of our colonies that was kind of getting rough with some of the other cats that were already taken care of. So we trapped, the cat was microchipped. A college student who had come home for the summer was literally carrying this cat to the house. The carrier broke, and the cat got out, and he was missing for 2 months. And he had gone less than a mile and took up camp at one of our colonies, so he was reunited within a day. So the microchip is really a great feature.
Carmine.
Yes, so I had a chance to meet Kim and Ann. I went down to the facility. I really didn't know much about it, so I wanted to go there firsthand, because I'm a hands-on person and I want to learn. So I learned about colonies and other terms. Thank you for teaching me. I got to meet some of the people that that were at Terra that were picking up their cats. It was very interesting, the line. And we discussed, which I thought was very important, is that some of the colonies that I maintain several properties in Fishkill as my company doing the landscaping, and I've noticed a reduction of the cats in those colonies, and I was like, and realized it was, Terra and Stray Help that actually manage those colonies. So I was like, oh, that's awesome. So I learned that it was great education. Thank you. And
that cat was actually from the location that we spoke
yes,
about. Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
So it was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I did
Yeah.
see the reduction of
Absolutely.
the cats, and I mentioned certain areas to you, and you guys know exactly what I was saying, and the area, and
Yeah.
it was pretty
Yeah.
cool.
So we, in those cases, and again, the program that I'm suggesting at this point is for people's pets, but the trap, neuter, return is really where our passion is, and that is, it will immensely reduce suffering. They die out through natural attrition. Sometimes we get an old tomcat, he wants to retire, so he's brought in, never to be on the street again.
So if you are a resident that has your own home, you know what's happening in your home.
Right.
If you're me, who actually drives the streets in Fishkill every day, and is on every almost commercial property in the town, you get to see a lot of things happening in a lot of apartment complexes, a lot of the townhomes, and a lot of the condo associations. You won't believe how many cats live in the woods.
Right.
It's amazing. And just to
Well,
see, and just Fishkill alone.
It
and
is
and
amazing.
I've seen the reduction,
Yeah.
and I didn't even know it
Yeah.
was this organization.
Yeah.
I had no clue.
Well, the key, I think, whether you love cats or you hate cats, no one wants to see them suffering. When we go in, and there's another colony, and I won't mention for the safety of the cats, because there are unscrupulous people who will go and poison. But one location I took over from my mentor. I've been feeding with volunteers for a number of years. We have 3 cats there. There used to be 15. We had them all spayed and neutered, and many of them had been abandoned from people who moved out, and they left their cats behind. So all of those cats are removed. They are placed into homes. Sometimes when the shelters are not full, we're able to actually request that the local shelters take them in. You know, and when they're healthy, you know, they're not these, you know, rodents that carry disease. You know, we vaccinate all these cats. You know, we monitor them. Recently, we had a cat that had an abscessed tooth. You could see that it had ruptured. We retrapped her. She got a dentistry done. Tara, again, has dental options, and she's returned, and they do great. And they're, you know, rodent control, so to speak, and they also prevent other cats from coming in. So, you know, but to that point, the number of cats, we actually feed over 200 cats every single day within Dutchess County. And that's mid to lower Dutchess County, so that's not even the entire county. These are cats that we monitor. We make sure that they're healthy. If anybody's sick or injured, we retrap them. We get them the medical care that they need. You know, these are not disease carrying, you know, a rabies vaccine. There is a law, New York State law, you have to get your cats rabies vaccinated either every year, or if timed correctly, you can do it every 3rd year. We take it a step further and we get them their distemper vaccine. Well, it's commonly known as the distemper vaccine, which is, again, you know, protection against certain viruses. They can really carry these, you know, these vaccines for years. So, you know, it's another appeal to doing the TNR, because the alternative, you know, there really is no alternative, a humane alternative. I don't know anybody who wants, well, I do know a couple people who just think that trap and kill is an option, and that is egregious.
So I take it that the board wants to see if we can accommodate this request? Is that pretty much the consensus?
Yes, or whatever Mr. Gaba suggests that we.
If I can answer the question, I think, because there was a question about donating or giving funds to a not-for-profit. So you wouldn't be giving money to us, certainly. You would set Tara up as a vendor, and you would be paying them for services rendered.
Have you done that before, sir?
So that's
It's a
no,
contract.
there's no.
You do contracts all the
So
time.
we can do that, it's not a big deal?
Yeah, so it's not, you know, it's not like a
They have a
a
draft
gift.
contract?
What's that?
Do they have a draft agreement?
Of course they do, yeah.
All right, why don't you
Yeah.
submit that?
But I will say, this is the first municipality in Dutchess County. You know, we were so close with another municipality, and then COVID hit, and everything disappeared. So really, Fishkill, and it is very meaningful to me that we are in Fishkill, and Fishkill is the first township that would adopt an actual program, I think is really wonderful. Thank you.
Get me the
If that's, I know you have
draft
to.
agreement, I'll send it to the town attorney, and we'll get it
Okay.
on the agenda for the next meeting.
Okay, very
All right,
good.
thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Yep. Thank you,
Questions
ma'am.
from the audience? Anybody from the audience?
200 a day?
No.
Yes.
Did you say 200 a day?
Yes.
That's a lot. No
Yeah.
wonder I see your car go by 800 times a day.
Over 50 of them are within Fishkill.
It's amazing.
So, you know, these are very dedicated people that are out there every single day.
That's a lot of work.
Looking out for it is a lot of work.
And it's winter and everything. That's you out there.
We are more reliable than the Postal Service.
Yeah.
That's right. So,
So thank you.
yeah.
Good
Thank
job,
you.
man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the chief has two of his new prospective employees. Can we let them speak?
Yes.
Okay, chief.
Good evening, Supervisor, Town Council members. I'd like to present two candidates for police assistant vacancies that we have in the police department. The first one will be Bernadette Scheibel.
Hi. Who are you, where are you from, why you want to be a dispatcher?
Well,
Microphone.
Close to the mic.
Sorry. I have a big mouth, so I really don't need this.
So be a good dispatcher.
So, yes. I worked in New Windsor and Cornwall, New Windsor primarily, almost 30 years as a dispatcher.
Oh, okay.
And Cornwall was part-time. I'm in Town of Newburgh part-time now, but just because I'm bored. I'm retired. I retired last year.
Okay.
And I live in the village of Cornwall.
Okay.
What else did you want? I'm sorry.
That's good, that's good. That's good.
I'm a driving instructor, so shoot me now. I teach 16-year-old, so this is a little more safer, a lot more safer. And that's about it.
All right, welcome to Fishkill.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief?
The second candidate is William Gooler.
Good evening, everyone. I'm 21 years old, from the town of Newburgh. Lived there my whole life. Graduated from school in 2018. Moved on to college just to get my credits to pursue a career in law enforcement. Since then, I've volunteered as a firefighter since 2019. And I've also worked as a licensed security guard for the past 3 years, making myself 21 now. And I'm looking to get my foot in the door in the law enforcement field and pursue a career in the near future.
This is your first municipal job?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Anybody else? Questions?
No, good.
Thank you, chief. Welcome to Fishkill.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up is our building inspector to give us a outlook of the discussion of the fee escrow policy in the town of Fishkill.
Good evening, everyone.
Hello, Joel.
So Joel, just explain what we have now and why it's a better idea to go this route.
Okay, it's all references to site plan inspections after.
You got to use a microphone.
What's the matter?
Microphone, please.
I'm not talking loud enough? for
No,
you?
talk louder.
Are you sure? It's all about site plan inspections that happen after a project has been approved to go forward to be built. Right now, the way the current code reads is that the site plan inspections, which are done by the town attorney for all the infrastructure work, sewer, water, drainage, so on and so forth.
You mean town engineer?
Town engineer. Did I say did I
You
say
said attorney.
I'm not getting paid
I
if
think
that's
I
the
was looking
case.
at you as a proud attorney. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Joel.
So what happens is, when a project, before it finishes toward the end, the project sponsor must put up a site inspection fee, which is determined by the town engineer. Most of the times, it's 7% of the total cost of construction. So out of that, all the inspections that are done by the professionals, which 99% of the time is the engineer, gets paid out of that fund. So technically, it's not split between different projects. It's all lumped into one sum. So just for an overview, AVR down on the river, that project started 1998, 99, okay? So back then, they paid their 7% of the total cost. 22 years later, they're still not finished, okay? So out of that total pool of site plan money, they have to get paid, okay? Could have been a site plan from 15 years ago that there's still money in the account. So there's never an actual accounting of the account per job. It's just put into a lump sum and taken out when the site plan inspections are done, however it gets billed. So what we'd like to do is change it to an escrow-based scenario. where every project sets up its own escrow just for the site plan inspections near the end of the project. That way, by doing it that way, we also put into the fact that if the escrow goes too low because the site inspections created more than the money was there for, they would have to replenish the account so that the town wouldn't have to worry about any money coming out of the general account to pay for the site inspections.
Or another account would subsidize that one.
Exactly.
John?
How do other towns operate?
Most
Are
of
you
the
aware?
other towns use the escrow base.
Use what you're proposing that we change our
Yeah.
method to?
Yeah. It's just an old way of doing things, and it just, like I said, a project that's been out there for 20 years, and they only put up $10,000 in the beginning for the site plan, or for the site inspections, they're still doing site inspections 20 years later. They've definitely used their money that they originally put up, so it's coming out of the fund. So this way, every specific project has its own escrow account just for site inspections.
So if an account is running low, who sends the alarm? Is that you? Is that the engineer?
No, there's a threshold of the number we would say, it's not set up yet, so we
Right,
don't
I
know.
understand.
And Debbie Colonna, who is the planning board secretary,
Yep.
she keeps track of the escrow accounts for planning.
Got
So
it.
this is all a planning-based item.
All goes through,
So it all goes through her, so she, when it gets to that certain threshold, she sends a letter out and says you have to replenish. She does that now with planning. Planning does the same exact thing.
I'm good.
When we first came into office, we were talking about escrows and fees. So you're still, this is different, right? We still have escrows. This is an escrow for the site plan itself.
This is another set of escrows,
Right,
actually, is
right,
what
that's what I
happens.
want to
Yeah.
clarify. So we
Yep.
have escrow
The escrow
accounts,
that's out there
all the other
stays.
stuff.
This is taking the actual site fee and taking it and making it an escrow fee.
That's what I thought.
For the
yeah.
same, for site inspections only, that's
Right.
all.
And just curious, you know how old the oldest project is in our town, like 1999? Holy mackerel, like, just wondering. Because
You
they come out of the
mentioned-
woodworks, you know, like it's like 30 years later, oh.
That's
you
what
know.
happens when they're not finished.
Yeah,
You know, that
so-
money just sits there, and then when it comes up, the inspections have to be done. And because they, even though it's 20 years later, they paid the site inspection as per the code, so you can't tell them they have to pay it again.
All right.
Okay?
Yeah, so we
it's-
definitely need to do it this way, because if we don't, then there's no oversight, because there's not enough money to
Right.
actually inspect it the way it should be, which is what happened a lot in the past, and probably why we have some not-so-good developments.
Okay. So how do we, I'm sorry, John?
I would just like to ask our town attorney if he has any comments or concerns.
I don't have any concerns, really. The only comment I'd have is this is pretty much the way everybody else does it. To change over, I think you're going to have to do it just prospectively on new applications. I don't see how you can go back.
That's fine.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
fine.
forward, moving
Yeah,
forward.
do we need a local law on this, or
I
just a
think just a
resolution?
resolution. I don't think it's codified. Is it in the town code, or is it
Yeah,
just?
it's in the town code.
All right,
but
so
it-
you're going to need a local law.
Right, yeah,
All
because
right, so,
it just breaks it out as the 7% for the
All right,
inspections.
so what we'll do is place this for discussion and set a public hearing at the next town board meeting. So do both discussion and prepare the public hearing. This shouldn't take that long, right?
Referred to as a site plan inspection escrow?
Yeah, that's good enough.
Do what first? June 1st? No, we could do it next meeting. Then we'll have it probably in July, the public hearing, or June. All right, you got it.
Oh, Ozzy, the only
sorry.
thing is I'm going away later this month. I may not be able to get it done
So
for the
put
next
it,
meeting.
put it for the first June meeting.
Thank you.
Not a problem.
Thank you,
Carry
John.
on.
Well, do you want to report anything else while you're here?
No.
All right. Recreation, next up is the Recreation Center roof leak. Me and Carmen have been banging our heads on this one. We'd like to do the RFP for both costs, a steel roof and a shingle roof. It's on there in consent. Everybody okay with this?
Yes.
Yes.
So is this 220, is that a maximum it'll go to, or what?
Well, let's see what the RFP comes up to. We can do a max and we can review it.
Okay.
And this is with a different type of roof, right?
Well, we're going to do a steel roof, we're gonna RFP for both.
Okay.
So whatever we think is steel roof or shingle, we'll hear all comers.
Okay.
So you can take that off the discussion list, number 2. You can close it. Close number 2. And it's not for consent. So the next one's up regarding police members. They're all together, basically, so I'd like to deal with them all together, if it's okay with you guys. 3, discussion of dissolving the commissioner. Number 4, discussion of the policy statement. 5, discussion of proposed law, for the new law. 6, us, the commission. And 7, the personnel files. I just want to just be real quick with the personnel files number, I'm sorry, number 10.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, so with number 10, I just want to add to this section that there's no more than 2 files, and the files have to have exactly what is in the other file. So if the HR person has a file, it's got to match what's in the police chief's file. That's all I want to do with that. Because I come across a couple times where there's something in this file and not in the other file. So I want to make sure that's in there where the files match for HR and the chief. Is that something that's reasonable?
Well, I mean, Chief, is there anything, you know?
I know.
I mean, I don't see it being unreasonable, but, I mean, do you have any comment on that?
My only concern would be ensuring that if there are 2 sets of files, that they match, and that we have an open line of communication to ensure that occurs. Otherwise, I don't have a problem with it at all.
All right.
Absolutely.
So I would say the original should be with HR, is what I would think. Yes.
I just want them to match.
Can I comment on that?
Yeah.
As we move towards accreditation, that's going to become an issue.
So you should have the
Because
original. Okay,
That's
so
what
let's give the chief.
accreditation says.
Huh? That's what, accreditation says you have the originals?
Accreditation says that they should be in the possession of the police department.
Well, I want the accreditation done, so I want it to go to the chief then. But the second file will go to the HR. So since you mentioned accreditation, how far are you into that?
We're still working on revising the department policy.
So how far are you into it? Like 80% done, 40% done?
With policy revisions?
So when you're going to complete the project?
It's impossible to say. We haven't even really started accreditation. We can't do that until policy revisions are complete. I'd like to say we're farther along, but we've been extremely busy.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it's not a top priority. We work on it as we can, but operations and routine operations of the department has to take priority.
Thank you. So, Mr. Gaba, can we add to this? There'll be 2 files. The chief will have the original, and HR will have a duplicate.
Yes, we're going to have to amend Chapter 29 in order to do that.
Well, we're going to amend it when we add this into it.
You're stealing my thunder.
I'm sorry,
That's
Mr. Gallo.
exactly right. What you have this evening is the draft local law abolishing the police commissioner and creating a police commission. If you would like to make the policy and procedure part of the town code so that it's binding, that should really be added into the local law. And if you're interested in kind of adding in this requirement in regard to having matching files in HR in the police department, that should be added into the local law as well.
Good.
So my recommendation would be to table that for this evening. I'll redraft the local law to include the policy and procedure and the section on the files. You can have that for your next meeting.
Did we set the public hearing for this already?
I believe we did.
When is the public hearing?
Madam Clerk?
So we could open it and continue it, right? Not a big deal.
You can open it and continue.
All
Is the
right.
policy and procedure number 4? Is that what that is? Policy statement?
Yeah, that's all related to
We're
this.
talking about number 10 right now.
Yeah.
She's just trying to catch up.
It's all related.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
not, they're all very, very separate programs. so
Okay.
I'll have to go back and figure out what you guys are talking about.
So then you can close out number 3,
Hold on.
because he'll have the local law.
Okay, so I'm going to.
Close 3,
Okay.
close 4,
Okay, thank you.
close 5, close 6,
Okay.
and close 10. So my last thing is, when an officer resigns, the presumption is that they resigned in good standing. Is that the current thought process out there, Mr. Galba?
That is correct.
I'd like to add this last thing to Section 29, that when the Town of Fishkill Town Board accepts a resignation from a police officer is that the officer left in good standing and has no disciplinary charges currently or pending. Is that fair?
Sounds fair.
So we'll add that to section 29 too. Is that okay with you guys?
Yeah, just help me with your thinking on that, though.
I promise to tell you in executive session and you'll figure it out.
Okay. Fine.
All right?
All right.
All right, so let's add that to 29 and wrap it up, and we're going to have a nice bipartisan law that'll be
Okay,
pretty
but
good.
when you open the public hearing, just open it and
Continue it.
continue it because the text will have been
Yep.
changed and then
Yep.
you can go forward the next meeting.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Did you want to add no IDs to the badge?
Oh, Councilwoman Daniele had a recommendation. Go on.
Just for number 1, where it says they shall not be issued badges or identification.
Identification cards, ID cards. And what we had previously was, prior to us taking control, prior to us board members sitting here today, previous town board members and supervisors had police commissioner badges and ID cards, and they used them for courtesies. And I don't think that's right, and I commend this board for making sure that does not happen in the future. Well done, gentlemen and ladies. Well done. That's really good. Number 7. Discussion of resolution to amend the expenditures of the highway monies. Section 284 of the highway law mandates expenditures of highway funds set forth as a written agreement between the municipality and highway super. The 2020 agreement for expenditure of highway monies was approved by resolution. The highway superintendent has requested to amend the agreement to increase general repair expenditures. The budget total due to approved salary increases and fringe costs pursuant to 2022-110 adopted on 4/6/2022. It's just procedural to make sure we're in compliance. Good night, ladies. Any questions?
No.
No.
Then, that's on a resolution? Yeah. Is that a consent or a resolution? Just say resolution? Okay, resolution? All right, and then you can close that out, right? Okay. The next one is the town board meeting schedule. We talked about that earlier. I agree with your statement about the public hearings. I think if we do this, is it an agreement that we don't have any public hearing before 7 o'clock? Does that satisfy you? No, I'm seriously. I did not think about the public hearings, the other stuff.
Can you come up?
Well, you got to remember, we'll have it in the beginning and we'll have the same thing at the end. So you might wait a little while longer, but you'll.
Before this board, it used to be just at the end.
And I've added to the front and back.
So you're going to still have it in the front. If they don't make the front, then
They can do the
do
back. Yes.
Anything.
Yes. My commitment to open government is
Yeah.
unchallenged.
Okay. All
Okay?
right.
But thank you for benching that, because if you weren't here today, we would have had public hearings at 6 o'clock, which would not have been right. John?
And if we find out this is not working,
Yep.
we can always amend it back to 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, and I've been here 2 years, guys, and I haven't had anybody jump off the train and complain that they couldn't speak or.
Right.
So that hasn't happened.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's.
It could happen.
We can tweak it again, so that's the point.
The county legislature used to meet at 4 o'clock 20 years ago, and we moved that to 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
Oh, the town board of the Town of Fishkill used to have meetings on Wednesday mornings at 9:30 with no TV on.
There you go.
So, come on.
Well, there's no TV then.
Would you think about a deadline of, when you might end a meeting?
No.
That
I'm
can
getting
go
my
on?
work done.
Yeah.
Getting my work done. Sorry.
No, just
We
wondering.
haven't went past 12 o'clock
Because
yet.
I know Plain was, used to have, 11 o'clock, and then they tried to keep
yeah,
it at
that-
11
Yeah,
o'clock.
no,
Yeah,
no.
that
Because if
was
you go to
12:30
another
one
day,
time.
it creates problems.
Gotcha.
Excuse me, Mr. Gavin, may I ask you a question on this? So we're just going to move some items on the agenda to accommodate the request. That doesn't change the resolution or that we're changing the times. It doesn't, right?
No, there's a resolution to
Right.
to change the times of the meetings. It doesn't include any undertaking to put on public hearings or public comment at a specific time. The board's just informally committing to that, and if the board feels that it needs to further formalize it, it can adopt a motion to, say that public hearings will not begin before 7, and public comment will be reserved until, at least a public comment session will be reserved until the end of the meeting. I don't think that's necessary. I don't think they're
I
going to
don't think so.
forget. but if the board wants to have a motion to that effect, certainly you could do
A
that.
motion to do what? A resolution to make that happen?
In addition to changing the time of the meeting from 7 to 6, to commit to not have public hearings before 7 o'clock and to have a general public comment item on the agenda at the end of the agenda.
Anybody think that's necessary? I don't.
Well,
You guys control the
Carmine.
timing on the agenda.
So I just thinking about this a little bit, I know we have it on the consent agenda. My gut feeling is not to change the time at all.
Okay.
I'm with Carmine. I think that 7 o'clock is a good time. I'm just, and like I said, my concern is the people getting here and being able to speak. I know you said we'll let them speak, but I just feel like maybe they won't even come if they feel they're rushed to get here by 6.
For convenience for me, I would love to have it at 6 o'clock. But I can understand now what getting home is an issue.
Yeah. I'm okay with holding off on this decision. Let's get more comment and, we don't want to deprive.
What do you think, John?
My initial feeling was to leave it at 7. People get home from work, they get to grab a bite with their spouse. How was your day? Let's go to the meeting at 7 and do our business. But there seemed to have been a momentum to change it to 6. I'm okay either way.
All right, so let's just leave it at 7.
All
Close
right.
it.
There you go.
Simple as that.
We still have to move the resolution and vote it down.
Is it in the resolution or was it in consent?
No, it's not in consent, it's just
Okay.
a resolution.
That's okay.
We can just vote no.
Okay,
when we get
yep.
there, and it just won't pass.
Well, you don't have to do anything if there's no first and second
So don't
on
make
it.
a motion.
You need to make a motion.
Okay, I got you.
Just call the item and nobody says anything.
That's it.
That's all.
Next up is number 9, discussion of PBA membership. There was a request by PBA leadership to allow the lieutenants into the PBA. The PBA membership voted down that request. Just want to let the board members know about that because we're going to go into executive session to talk about some benefits. Anybody have any questions on that?
No.
Nope.
John?
Nope.
Next up is discussion of the tax cert for Merritt Park Holdings. None of us like this, but it is what it is. Any questions?
Nope.
Just have a question or
Sure.
a comment. So I have a question or comment. Becky, you good?
No, but it's okay. I can go back and listen. That's why you have the video. It's
Good,
okay.
good,
You
good.
guys just-
That's right, you got the video. No
But I
ambiguity.
appreciate the consideration.
So the current, this is not the current owner. They actually sold it to Eagle Rock. They sold the property. They are rebuilding the burnt down building. So I just want everybody to know that I did a little look into that.
Yeah.
So we got to make sure that once that construction is done, that
Correct.
we bring it back in.
We're on top of it.
Yeah, I spoke with Kyle Barnett, too. I don't know why the email didn't go through, but he explained the whole thing. Even though we're giving them back money now, it's going to be reassessed when it's
Yes.
bought, and we have no choice on this.
And there's new owners.
Yeah.
These are not the owners no more.
And what upsets me about these apartment complexes, they sell for well above assessed value, but they're not assessed at assessed
the
value.
rental rate.
So I don't want to get into that. They're allowed to lose money or something like that, but that's that. So that's okay to go to a resolution?
Yes.
All right. Next up, discuss salary increase for building department and finance department staff. Any questions on that?
I have my same opinion of giving people raises, not at one time of the year. I think everything should be done at budget time.
I understand. Anybody, any other questions?
No.
We've seen, it just came out today, that March was the worst month for employers. The employees at record rates are leaving their jobs and going to other jobs for greener pastures. And we don't pay that great here in the town of Fishkill. And my intention was to give some nice pay raises next year, so I'm going to be 7 months ahead of schedule on this. And it's hard to get people. We used to have these truck drivers in the highway department. You'd have 100 people wanting those positions. No one's even applying for it. So we got to do what we got to do to keep the town solvent and in business and open for business.
There's no consistency, though.
I don't disagree with you.
You know, like when we gave it to the highway and the buildings and ground, the reason was because people were,
Correct.
because people were going to leave, you know, but we gave it to the entire department. The entire department wasn't going to leave, you know, and so now from these other departments, it's, you know, inflation, you know, they got it, I want it. I don't think it's fiscally responsible, and I think if you're going to do it for this one and that one, you may as well just make a list of every single employee and give every single one
Yeah, and
whatever you're doing.
Everyone has
Well, this
gotten
is going to be
raises.
the great part about getting an HR director
Yeah, that's
is
why I think you should wait, we should wait
getting
and get
those things
policy.
into, but, you know, this is just old business we got to take care of, so.
Okay. And these people that get raises this year won't get them for next year.
But these are people also who got raises last year. Yeah, and got also stipends and self-created raises. So there's nothing about this is fair or good, as far as I'm concerned.
You willing to be the liaison to, I was going to make a liaison for HR. You willing to do that, Louise?
Yes, I am.
All right, so next meeting when we hire the HR director, you'll be their liaison, and you guys can figure out how we do these things.
Sounds good.
Next up is,
Are we tabling this?
no, we're going to table it to the next meeting. I'll have resolutions prepared.
Yes, that's all
All right, I'm going to have a resolution. Guys, I'm going to add Greg to this, too. And the highway secretary, the highway superintendent asked for her, too.
Right. I was going to
And,
bring that up.
Yeah,
Under
I got you, Brian.
Under new biz, but,
So,
okay.
So we're going to have, we're going to add those two on there, too. Next up is discussion of a flea market. A citizen asked me, I told him about a flea markets, and I told him that we do the town-wide once-a-year thing, and he suggested maybe we do it at the rec center. I know we do a lot of stuff there. I don't know if we do this. I see they sell clothes and toys and stuff like that, but he suggested maybe once a year, the residents pay $10 to get in there and they can sell their stuff. I'm just putting it out there for discussion. If you guys want me to move forward and see if it's feasible, I don't even know if it's feasible, but I don't want to.
I mean, I got to tell you, I've gone to flea markets. I think people needed an avenue for making a little extra money. I think it's worth exploring. I
Okay,
mean,
fair
find
enough.
a site, yeah.
So you guys give me a little latitude on that?
Sure.
Yeah.
I agree.
I just have a comment. I just want to make sure that, do we have to, Chief, maybe you can answer this, do we need to have some staffing there to direct traffic coming in and out of town hall or the rec? Maybe you can help us out with that, because I'm just, for safety reasons and security.
We're talking about for
A flea market. If we did a
flea market at the,
At the whole town. We do it at the town hall.
Not at the town hall. We do it at the rec center, maybe the parking lot. People pay $10 from Fishkill to get in and sell their stuff.
yeah, we'll at least need traffic control.
Well, it depends how many we got. 10 people show up.
Yeah.
So we think about an annual, semi-annual?
I'd like to.
We're gonna get a lot of people to
Okay,
show up to
explore
this.
once a year. If it's a hit, you do twice
Is
a
it
year.
something they have to pay a fee to do, or is it free,
It would be-
or?
Let's say $10 to be involved in it.
Okay.
And while I'm at that, what about a food truck day, when we get food trucks to come to like a Saturday on the R side? You guys okay with exploring that?
Yeah, sure.
Heck,
Yeah.
sure.
So Greg, tell Rec I want to work with them on the flea market, if it's feasible, and see if we can work on some type of food truck event.
Just make sure that those fees will take care of whatever fees that we have to pay the PD to be there, or any other grounds crew to clean up afterwards. Just
Right.
keep that in consideration. $10 a head,
Say 20?
I think that's more reasonable.
$20.
But just make sure we're gonna have expenditures for the town for doing this.
Right.
So bump it up to 20. Thank you, Chief.
Do you have a date in mind for this?
No, I'm going to talk to them and see if they even want to do it, or if we can't even do it. I don't
Okay.
even know. This is just somebody asked me.
The reason I'm asking is because one of the community policing events that we're looking at coming up is called Law Enforcement National Night Out. Law enforcement agencies across the nation do it. We've seen it. It's very similar. It's not like a flea market, but basically it's food trucks and it's vendors, and it's trying to get the community to come out and interact. It's done in August of every year.
First Tuesday?
I think so. That sounds right.
It's a Tuesday night.
Yeah. So it's
Beacon did it for a long time.
it's a great program.
Yeah.
It's a good way to get everybody out,
We
and
could do all three at the
we
same
get some of the adjoining police agencies, state police, sheriff's office to bring out different equipment that they have to show, and some of the other municipalities perhaps. But I think it's a really good way to get the community out and get together.
Great idea.
Just
So
something
Greg
to
will
keep
work
in-
with you to see if they can tie that together.
Okay.
Thank you,
Sounds
sir.
good.
All right, good. Next up is discussion of town website, again, with our commitment. What?
I just need to know what you're doing. for the market.
He wants to do this in August, so I would know by, say, the
We'll just table it to see if there's any information.
second meeting of June?
Sure, got it. Thank you.
Next one is discussion of town website. People on the board have asked me if we can move up. We're going to put this in the capital plan to upgrade it next year.
Yeah.
You guys want to upgrade it this year? Your thoughts? Brian, you want to spear in this way, or?
You know, here, my thoughts are, let's just use this time to gather all the information, all the little tidbits we want to put on there, and I'll tell you why. I got an email today from Arnold Restivo. Thank you, Arnold. He was saying we should make sure that we have our history tab on there, you know, to highlight all the history in the town. I just think that, you know, I'm working with the highway department. They certainly want something. There's going to be a lot of things to discuss to see what really is going to be in there to really push it this year. I'm not certain it's necessary. I don't know, Carmine, what do you feel? But I feel like we put it in the budget for next year. We've got a better plan, you know, better data on what we're putting in there.
So I think we'd be proactive now, think of things that we want to do.
Yeah.
We budget for it, and then in 2023, we implement it.
That's it.
Okay. Good enough.
Hey, how about we do that for the raises? I'm good.
All right. So close that out, please. Okay, next up, discussion of the appointment of the chief's dispatchers. You okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, discussion?
No.
All right. Resolution established the townwide cleanup day, number 16. Let's see what day that's going to be. Discussion of resolution to establish 2022 townwide cleanup day. The town of Fishkill typically offers a townwide cleanup day one time annually, usually about the third Saturday in September. The town board annually through resolution sets a date, and the discussion relates to approving the cleanup and scheduling the event on Saturday, September 17th at the Highway Garage, 1 Gearing Way, for the benefit of the town of Fishkill residents only. The event is typically conducted at Merrill Park from 7 to 2 p.m. For Fishkill residents only. No trucks such as U-Haul, vans, utility trailers larger than a pickup bed. Trucks are permitted into the park to dump their bulk debris. Only ordinary pickup trucks are allowed. The following items are not accepted due to landfill restrictions: engine oil, lawn and garden chemicals such as fertilizers, insecticides, pesticides, poisons, brush, leaves, draining, cleaning of chemicals and other cleaning and caustic solvents, paint materials such as latex oil or oil-based paints, turpentine, shellac, sealers, mineral spirits, and other plant-related materials, gasoline, kerosene, or other flammable liquids, including containers that were used for these products, aerosol cans, and other pressurized tanks. Tires are not accepted, and if there's a religious date that conflicts with this, let me know and we can work something out on that. So is this day okay with you guys, September 17th?
I think so.
Yeah.
Can move to consent, please?
Yes.
All right, next one up is discussion of resolution to waive the facility rental fee and deposit for AARP defensive driving course. Everybody okay with that?
Yes.
I just have a question.
Okay.
Mr. Gaba, can we waive a fee, or is that the same thing? I have a question for you on that. What's your thought?
Well, the answer is it depends. This particular item is to promote public safety as far as having senior citizen drivers, I suppose anyone who's willing to take the course, drive more safely, which would be a public purpose. So in this instance, you're basically sponsoring the program. You can waive the fee and allows them to use public facilities. If it was not imbued with a public purpose, you would have a problem with waiving the fee on this. And there's a difference between waiving a fee and contributing cash, I might add. So just a little bit different as far as that goes. But you could certainly do this.
Everybody okay with moving this to resolution?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, next up is number 18, do an RFP for the roundabout water storage tank removal. When you're on 90, as soon as you pass the bridge, you see that big tank on the right. We're looking to take that thing down and put that out for a bid to take it down. Any questions on this one?
No.
All right, we have this for consent, right? I mean, on resolution? All right. Next one up is discussion authorized issuing of the same thing, an RFP request for town park fencing. Carmine and Louise have been working hard to get this thing done. It's hard to find fence guys and fence people. You okay to move that to RFP?
Yes.
Consent?
Sure.
Thank you. Number 20, discussion of recreation fund budget modification for addition of youth golf. So we're adding golf to the recreation plan. Anybody have a problem with that?
No.
No.
Okay, move that to resolution. 21, discussion to authorize issuance of a RFP for recreation center roof. We already talked about that. We're good with that. 22, discussion of 2022 recreation CR fund budget modification for the addition of CPR first aid course. So the rec wants to add that. We okay with that?
Can we think, I mean, this drug presentation that I'm into, and I took a Narcan training, I mean, I just think it's so valuable. Is that appropriate to say, can we throw in a Narcan training as well?
Louise, can you ask?
I can ask him.
You're the liaison,
Yeah.
can you ask that? How hard is the Narcan? Press the button and...
There's a lady that can do it. She does the training. She's going to be here giving the presentation, so,
Okay.
we can
Yeah.
talk to her.
Sounds
Maybe
good.
we can have Jay and Lauren come during that day, so maybe we
Brian,
buy-
if you can email me her information, I'll get it to you.
I will do that.
And if you
Thanks.
want to buy a few of those and keep them in the rec building, the PD, or, Chief, you have those in the car?
The county gives them out.
All of our officers are trained.
Yeah.
That's good, awesome.
And the county gives them out free. Once you take the training and you have the certification, which I do, they expire, and you can just go and turn them in and get fresh ones, so you can get them free from the county.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if we work that, see if they're interested in rec, and if they
Okay.
are, I'll have Brian check with the county to get
Okay.
some for us. Thank you. So resolution number 23, discussion resolution to appoint Salvatore Niels as groundkeeper of the Buildings Department. Everybody okay with resolution on this?
Yes.
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 Number 24, discussion resolution to amend Chapter 23, officer and employees by repealing Article 2, the town clerk appointed as receiver of taxes and assessments. Anybody have any questions on that?
Nope.
Okay, it's 24. Number 25, discussion of resolution waiver of the water services fee for Slater Chemical Fire Company property. I got that on resolution. Everybody okay with that?
Sure.
Yes.
26, discussion of resolution to appoint Cooper Leatherwood as first deputy town clerk. We okay with that?
Yes.
Resolution. 27,
That seemed like a nice guy.
what did I say his name was?
Cooper Leatherwood.
Okay, I thought it said something else.
Cooper.
Okay. Number 27, discussion of resolution to terminate a certain employee. Everybody is aware of that? We're okay with resolution on that?
Yes.
Number 28, discussion of resolution to enter agreement for engineering services for Lawrence Poggi. What we're doing here is we're adding a engineer. This is the engineer that's working on the Roundabout Firehouse Auxiliary Building on 52. And the fire department is going to run a line down the middle of the Dutchess Park Mall, right down the parking lot. And they're going to have water, and then the gas station right next to it wants to extend the lines, and they're going to pay for it. And the town plans to I'm requesting that the town board let me get ARPA money to complete what's called a loop. So it would go from the gas station across the street, close to that other gas station where that triangle is, and that would allow us to close the system, causing a loop. So when if there was a water main break, you all wouldn't lose water because we can direct the water in a different direction. And we need, since he's doing the project, I'd like to piggyback on what he's doing so we can spend less money on the engineering on it. So that's my plan.
Sounds
Everybody
great.
okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Next up is discussion of the portal for water customers. And that's discussion only. I'm okay with this if you guys want to do it.
How much, what do you think?
I'm not clear on, are we paying for that cost? Because I was
Louise?
looking at the breakdown.
Yes.
It covers like, what, $1,500 initially, and then $2 and something for each customer after that?
Yeah, it's up to, I don't know the
So
exact
what
number,
if- how
but
many-
up to so many, I don't know,
Yeah.
it was
How
like
many people have
2,000.
wells, and how many people?
Well, it doesn't include wells.
No, it doesn't
No,
include
no,
wells.
what I'm saying is, how many do we know we'll be paying for? Do we have an idea?
We don't know. I think generally for those other towns, it was like a 10%. Like, they didn't go above what their contract was in the other towns. So we won't know until we actually like put it out and advertise it.
And if we did it, we could just do it for 1 year. If it didn't work, we can
We
put it to
could,
bed.
yeah, we could. I mean, we have to buy the software,
Yeah,
and then
I
we
mean,
have to, a yearly fee.
I'd like to have it myself, so, I
Yeah.
mean,
Are you good to go?
yeah.
John, you good to
Yeah.
go? So what do I do? What do I do with something like this? How do I put this? Is that
Okay.
true? Contract, okay, so contact
I
them?
will, yeah.
Louise, let Louise do it.
Okay,
Louise, or you want to do it from here?
yep,
Yeah, tell them that we want a contract.
Okay.
And I'll have Greg do the discussion item and the resolution.
Councilwoman, if you need help,
And Mr. Gallo will review
I'll
it.
assist you in anything you need to.
Just when do you think you'd like this to be ready for discussion resolution?
Next month? or
well,
you
he's
think-
going away.
When you going away again? I'm sorry?
I'm going away the 18th through the end of the month.
So we'll be back for the June meetings?
I'll be back for the June meeting.
So the first meeting in June?
You'll be back
depends on how big the
Second.
contract is. If it's a problem,
Do
we'll
it
have to put it over. I'll try to
Not a
have it
problem,
ready for
not a
the
problem.
first June meeting.
Not a problem,
That's fine.
not a problem. This is not,
Yeah.
hasn't been done in 5 years, so,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, that's what we're going to do with that. Now up is privilege of the floor for agenda items, so we're at almost 9 o'clock, so 8:45. Anybody want to speak about agenda items? All right, so we'll go on to consent agenda. I'm sorry.
No, that's all right, we're having conflicting, I heard you say June 1st was okay, Greg heard the 15th. Which one am I tabling it to?
Where you want it? What day you want?
Yeah, I just don't want to over.
I'd like it for the 15th, but if you want it for the
June
first.
15th,
Yeah.
June 15th?
Thank you.
June 15th?
Mhm.
All right, that's fine.
Thank you.
Like I said, it's supposed to be done 5 years ago, so I'm not thinking it's going to.
Yeah.
2 more weeks.
All right, next up is consent agenda. I present the motion to accept the consent agenda. Can I have a second?
Second.
Foreman, all,
Wait, is
It
that?
has to be amended because you guys have, you're changing a few things, so.
what are we changing? The
It
time?
was, no, it was chapter 29, we're going to redo it, and that was.
No, we don't. Chapter 29, we're just going to set the public hearing, right?
Yes, but you're changing the date of the public hearing.
No, we're not. We're going to, if it's not ready, we're going to just continue it. That's all. Right?
You could do this two ways. You could table everything and then just renotice the public hearing next month. You could keep the public hearing and then just open it and continue it.
Oh, then
You'll
do
change
that.
the text in the meantime.
That's cheaper.
It doesn't matter which way you do it. You can do either way you want.
What? What do you want to do, Becky?
And stuff ready, so we can just have it when we're supposed to.
Yeah, and then
table it, that'd be
what
great.
happens is you open the public hearing and you just announce that there's been a change to the text. You're going to put it over till next month. You don't need to renotice. You don't need to republish.
Perfect, thank you.
Is you okay with that? And what was the other one? The other one was the change in the board minute?
The time?
The
No,
time?
that's separate.
No, but that's separate, we're fine. No,
Yeah.
I just wanted
So we're good, nothing
clarification
else?
From the attorney, that's all, we're good.
We're
So
good.
the public hearing is going to be June 1st?
Right?
That's what it's scheduled for now, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
June 1st, right, for the cop stuff?
May 18th.
May 18th?
Yeah, it's next. it's
Okay,
in
all right,
2
well,
weeks.
you're not going to be ready, so we'll just, we'll
We can
continue
open
it
it,
to the
though.
first.
Okay. Let's do that.
Yeah, I won't close it. So
Okay.
we can't because you're not going to be ready.
Take notes, I'll concentrate
All right.
on this. Okay, consent.
Make a
who
motion,
seconded it?
John seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
All
Aye.
right, thank you.
John Foreman.
John. All right, resolution, first up was the resolution to amend the 2022 Town Board meeting schedule. Are there any motions? None? Close it out. Next up is resolution appointing William Gooler and Bernadette Tribal for part-time police assistants. Now therefore be resolved by the town board as follows. Section 1, the town board of the town of Fishkill hereby appoints William Gooler and Bernadette Tribal, part-time police assistants, effective May 5th, 2022, at the rate of $16 per hour, subject to the satisfactory completion of pre-employment screening approval from Dutchess County Department of Human Resources. Section 2, the town supervisor or any other offer employee designated by the town supervisor shall take in any all necessary to carry out the provisions of this resolution. Section 3, resolution shall be effective immediately. I present that as a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Carmine, all in favor?
Aye.
Next up is the resolution to waive the rental fee for AARP defensive driving. Now therefore be resolved, the town board as follows. All whereas paragraphs incorporated are set forth in full. The town board of the town of Fishkill hereby waives the facility fee. The supervisor and any other employee as directed by the town supervisor shall take any of all actions necessary to carry out the provisions. This resolution shall be effective immediately. I present that as a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Daniele, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next up, resolution authorize issuance of RFP for town park fencing. Okay, ID number 7776. Now therefore be resolved, the town board of the town of Fishkill hereby authorizes its town designee to request proposals for qualified contractors to perform improvements to the fences located in reference to the town parks, and be it further resolved, the town board of the town of Fishkill does hereby authorize the town clerk to advertise the proposals for a project entitled Request for Proposals, RFP 2022-04, improvements to town park fencing. I'll present a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Estevan, all in favor?
Aye.
Next up, a resolution to appoint Salvador Neals to a position of groundkeeper, Parks and Grounds. Now therefore be resolved, the town board of the town of Fishkill appoints Salvador Neals to the position of groundkeeper at the rate of $20 per hour, plus any and all benefits afforded to full-time employees, effective no sooner than May 9th, 2022, subject to approval of Dutchess County Department of Human Resources, and be further resolved that the town supervisor or his authorized designee be and hereby authorized and direct to take all necessary actions necessary and convenient to give full effect to this resolution, and be it further resolved that this resolution take effect immediately. I present that as a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Estevan, all in favor?
Aye.
Next up is a resolution to set public hearing to amend Town Code, Chapter 23, Article 2. This is the clerk one, okay. So now therefore be resolved as follows, that the movement of this resolution does hereby introduce the above proposed law, and that a public hearing on the proposed local law be set for May 18th, 2022 at 7 p.m., and that due notice of the time is directed to be given by publications and posting. And notice is hereby given that the Town Board of the Town of Fishkill, New York will hold a public hearing at Fishkill Town Hall, 807 Route 52, Fishkill, New York, 12524, on May 18th, 2022 at 7 p.m. or soon after the matter be heard to consider local law number, they're going to fill that in, of 2022, amending Town Code Chapter 23, repealing Article 2, entitled Town Clerk appointed as receiver of taxes and assessments. The Town of Fishkill will make every effort to ensure that the public hearing is accessible to persons with disabilities. Anyone requiring special assistance and/or accommodation should contact the Town Clerk. I present that in a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Foreman, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Last one. Let's see, 77. Next up is resolution to appoint Cooper Leatherwood as first deputy town clerk. Now therefore it be resolved that the town board acknowledges the town clerk's appointment of Cooper Leatherwood as first deputy town clerk / deputy registrar of vital statistics / deputy receiver of taxes of the town of Fishkill, effective May 31st, 2022, at the annual salary of $50,000 a year. And be it further resolved that the human resources and risk manager is hereby directed to take all steps necessary to effectuate the intent of this resolution. And be it further resolved that this resolution shall take effect immediately. I present that as a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Foreman, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I have no items for special consideration. New and old business, Louise?
I just wanted to bring up for new business at the next meeting, a discussion and a resolution regarding hiring an HR person.
Put that on the agenda, Greg?
Yes.
Carmine?
That's what I was going to say. Very good.
John? Still have some? John?
Nothing? So I do have a comment on the cameras.
Okay.
So in the Poughkeepsie Journal article, the supervisor was quoted saying, if we had these body cameras, there'd be no ambiguity with it. So my question to the supervisor is, do you confirm that is the language you used in the quote?
If that's what it said, sure.
Okay. So the definition of ambiguity is quality of being open to more than one interpretation. So my question to the supervisor is, what do you mean by ambiguity?
What I said, there'd be no ambiguity if we had the cameras.
Right.
Meaning if there was cameras there, we would know exactly what happened.
Okay, so this investigation is being led by the New York State Police. The grant was announced yesterday with the supervisor's insensitive quote. And it's my understanding that they are going in front of a grand jury as early as the end of this week. I know it's difficult sometimes, but you really have to rein in your comments when speaking on critical issues like a police shooting involving an employee of this town. The comments made by the supervisor or any member of this town board to the media can put this town in jeopardy. It's a matter of common sense. Thank you.
Yeah, it is a matter of common sense. And if we had cameras, we would know exactly what happened. I take open government very seriously, and I went back and forth whether we have cameras or not. And this is an incident to prove that we do need body cameras, and the congressman made it clear, and he agreed with me, and he's given us $600,000 to get this done. And a camera would save us so much aggravation, because instead of going to the state attorney general or the district attorney or the state police, they would know what would have happened already. So I don't know what you're getting on your high horse for. It's a fact. If we had cameras, we would know exactly what happened. And here's the thing. I totally expect our police officer to be fully exonerated. But the problem is an innocent person was shot. So what's going to happen is I anticipate a lawsuit. And guess what? That's going to be an issue for the town of Fishkill. We currently have a lawsuit with a police officer suing the town of Fishkill. It's going to court before September. And it doesn't matter whether he wins or lose. We've already spent maybe $100,000 in insurance claims to the insurance lawyers. So even if everything works out, our rates are gonna go up because we're gonna have to pay out these claims. It's gonna have an impact on our insurance, and your taxes would go up because we have to make that difference. So I stand by my claim that if we had cameras, we would know exactly what happened, and the incident would probably be over by now. So I don't know why you're taking any offense to that.
I'm not taking offense, but,
It's a fact.
and you might be right, okay?
I am right.
But the fact is, there is an investigation
Yeah.
with a grand jury coming up this week. And this week, we have the body camera announcement, and you're muddying the waters. You should not be talking about this stuff in the media.
Nobody's talking about the case. All I said was if we had cameras, we would know what's going on.
I thought you,
That's it.
I thought you said an innocent person was shot. How do we know if he's innocent, if it's still an investigation? So, I don't know, you know, and that's the thing. I don't think, talking with the police department, they're not against the cameras, and I think they probably invite it. And we know this is a trend across the country, and accountability is important, and it alleviates questions. But I have to say, your position on the cameras is well documented, and I appreciate where you're coming from. There's no doubt about it. And it has not been passed in the past because of expenditure, the people that have to be dedicated to it, to monitor it, the redundancy of systems, the whole thing that goes along with this thing. So it's just a matter of what John was saying. It's just a matter of comments because we know our police force is professional. We know these guys, these men and women, give a damn and do the best thing that they can do out there every time. I wouldn't want to be in their position right now, having to deal with this. It's nightmarish, I'm sure.
Gentlemen, if I...
But the thing is, it's not a matter of not wanting the cameras. It's just a matter of tone in addressing that case.
So I would like to say for the next meeting that we put on an agenda to discuss the police cameras.
I agree, I second it.
Why?
Because we never actually agreed that we would have police cameras, and we should
Hey, listen,
discuss.
if you don't want the cameras, I'll still the conversation. I think it's $600,000.
I never said that, so please
Not
don't
a
put
big
words in
deal.
my mouth, Supervisor.
Yeah.
I would like to
It's
know
amazing.
details about the cameras. That's it.
I have
would like us to
details.
have, so
There's
then
no
we'll have a
What's the
discussion.
resolution for?
Who said a resolution? He said a discussion, and I seconded it. So just for us to discuss, because we seem to be discussing it now, but it's not officially a discussion, so maybe at the next meeting, we could discuss the particulars of it.
It astonishes me that the commitment for open government, the issue about cameras, when we discussed before, was we didn't need it because things didn't happen, something bad happened, and then the issue was that we couldn't afford to do it. I made a request to the congressman, and I make requests to a lot of people. And if you guys want to know everything that I do, we can have a town board meeting once a week. And things that don't pass, we'll discuss them for 2-3 hours. But the 600 grand is something when the congressman says, hey, listen, come here and be part of this, and you're going to get $600,000 to benefit your system, your citizens. I'm going to be there and take that 600 grand.
I think
just like I took the 2.2 million from the ARPA money, just like I was part of taking the $20 million for the Hudson Fjord Trail, just like I was involved in getting the $3 million for the Beacon Hills Water Project. I'm going to do it. That's just the way it's going to be. And this saves the taxpayers' money.
I agree with you and partially disagree with you. This is we, this is not I. This is a team effort. If you want unity, you got to show that. As soon as you got that money, that's fantastic. You should have called every one of us
Right.
and be proud of it and say, listen, guys, this is what I'm going to do. We had no clue you were even going to meet with the congressman.
You guys weren't invited. He invited me and the police chief. That was it.
Well, you're one vote of 5, so.
So you were going to vote against taking $600,000?
Did I say
I think
that?
we were just asking to be aware of it, so I
Yes,
don't think
we had no clue.
I don't think we need to argue about it, just that in the
So
future,
you know what,
if we would just like to be
do a
aware.
resolution whether the town board will
No-
accept
no
the
resolution. We didn't say
$600,000.
resolution.
Well,
We didn't say a resolution, we asked to discuss it,
I want a
Supervisor.
resolution. I want to get people on a vote for it.
Well, why, how could we vote for something if we don't have the facts yet? So how about we have a discussion
We
on the
want to have a
facts?
discussion about it. Is that
I've
okay?
never seen $600,000 coming to us, a good thing, and the not wanting to do it.
Who says that?
Yeah, really, no one
That's the
said
sense
that.
I got.
Nobody
here.
up here said that.
That's the sense I got.
Facts, just
Nobody up here
facts.
said that. Okay, what's the fine print? I mean, why is it, thank you for going and doing that. We would
Guys, I
like
have a
to-
point
we
of
would like
order.
to-
Brian, point of
There's
order.
no point of order. He can
Hold on,
speak.
hold
He
on.
can speak.
No, we're not going to keep on doing this. No, I can call the point of order anytime I want.
Well, you can point of order, and you need somebody to agree with your point
I
of order.
agree with you, let's
All right,
go.
then we move on.
Yeah.
That's it, done. Well, in theory, you should have a vote. Have a vote on your point of order, so you need a vote. Present the motion on the point of order. You got your second, now you present it for a vote that he can't speak anymore. Call for a vote.
I can't.
That's how it works.
I
That's
can't
how it
speak.
works.
I don't know that that's.
Brian, we weren't stifling you.
Is he shutting me down? Is that what he's trying to do?
Well.
We're trying to just have a discussion at the next meeting instead of
All right,
now.
let's move on. Okay.
Carmine didn't mean
Put it in for discussion item, body cameras. All right. Doing old business. So did I come to you, John? You're done?
I'm done.
All right. Doing old business.
I've had a, oh, yeah. So for new business, I had interesting conversations when we were at the 50th anniversary for Rombout, the dinner.
That was good.
It was very, very good.
Thank you for reading the resolution for me.
Yeah, well, thank you.
I do.
I cut out a lot of whereases, and it was a lot better.
For everybody.
For everybody.
He did.
I got compliments that there weren't too many whereases, and I went, because I didn't read them. So from that, I had several conversations there, I'm not going to take long, about recruitment for the next generation of firefighters in the town of Fishkill and the deficiency thereof. And so what I've begun to do is, working with Ron Davis, we have Rombout, Slaters, Chelsea, and Dutchess Junction. So far, the chiefs from those firehouses committed to just come together, do a roundtable, and let's discuss this and see what it is that we can do maybe as a board to help them with recruitment, just to begin an opening round of trying to understand from their perspective what's going on and how we can engage that process to help recruitment.
Do you want to bring them in for a meeting, or do you want to have a separate meeting? What do you want to do?
It's going to be a separate, but I think I think whatever we come up with, we certainly would want to discuss it here, you know.
If we have something like that, we wouldn't need you to come. We need the town clerk. Can we just have something like that here? What can we do without being in violation of the open meetings laws?
You don't need the town clerk to conduct a meeting. You need her to designate someone to keep minutes, just of motions that are passed. If a quorum of you meets, then subject to the open meetings law, you have to do it in public.
It's not going to be a quorum, it's just going to be he and I, and it's just an informal initial discussion, it's all it is.
Just you two, or you want the whole entire board?
No, just us to start.
Oh, you guys can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what we're doing.
And this is not a town issue. This is a statewide issue, if not countrywide issue.
Yeah.
And not for nothing, these gentlemen are 100% correct. We're fortunate enough to have a very good volunteer fireman staff. Go up to Arlington, Fairview, LaGrange, they're paying $5,000 a year just for fire tax. You don't want that to happen here. So you need to support your local firemen, support what projects they want to get done, and if you have time to volunteer, we appreciate that, because if we don't get the volunteers, then come the paid firemen, and then it's history. So I commend John and Brian for looking into this. It's an important matter, and it deserves our support. It deserves the firemen deserve your support out there.
There are fire taxes that cost more than the town taxes.
Yes, by more than your school tax. All right, so the next town board meeting is when, Greg?
May 18th.
All right, I'll make a motion. We're going to have an executive session, so I'll make a motion to leave the regular meeting. Can I have a second?
Second.
Then I'll make all in favor?
Aye.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session. I'll present that as a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
Louise, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much,
just
everybody.
to-
There'll be nothing voted on.
Wait.
Just to be clear, that's to discuss the financial, medical, and employment history of a person or corporation employed by the town.
10-4. So thank you, everybody, for watching, and we'll see you next time. So give us like 5 minutes to relax. 5 minutes good?